Been 2 weeks now, but we're finally back at her. As you can hear, the old heater's just cooling down after we ran her pretty much just long enough to get basically between the point of dizziness and passing out. That's fine. So what we're doing today is, well, as you can see, and you've probably seen on Instagram and possibly also the YouTube community chats there, I got the engine back. But we need to assemble it, and this would have been done the weekend I got the engine back had I not got the wrong main bearings. Figured that out, and well, here we are again. So what we're going to start out with here today is I need to obviously pull the tunnel ram off and cylinder heads and everything else that I loosely assembled just to paint it and make her look pretty for pictures. But I figure while I'm here, I might as well go over essentially what the setup is going to be. So what we have to start with is a 69 Dodge 440. Said to be out of a Coronet. I don't know, I believe that because it's a non-HP block, and well, a 440 and a 69 Coronet would have come out of an RT, or possibly a 500 model, I believe. But regardless, it's a 69 440. The non-HP would have been about 9.3 to 9.5 to 1 compression factory. This will no longer be a factory piston because I initially did plan on running the factory piston. They're just a flat top, like I said, 9.3 to 9.5 1 compression, which would have been plenty, and I was happy with that. But I needed to put cam bearings in the block, so I brought her down to the machine shop to get it hot tanked, have cam bearings put in, and I figured, oh, well, I got the blocks assembled, might as well get them, put a nice cross hatch on her. So, on top of that, figure, well, we're this far, might as well bring the pistons, get him to measure the pistons, get him to measure the bores. He measured the bores, found out that there was 20 thou taper on pretty well every bore. I said, okay, fuck. So, board 30 over, we go and order new pistons. So now what the new pistons are going to be are these bad boys right over here. They're just a cheap set of Icon pistons. They're the IC 9953, obviously 30 over. They're for a factory wrist pin on a 440, which is slightly bigger than, I believe your typical wrist pin, like a big block Chevy, is 990. These are 109. So these pistons will go directly onto your factory rods, which are a pressed pin, and of course I got the machine shop to put that together because, well, I don't have any interest in fucking around with that. So yeah, these are flat top. They're advertised, I believe, 9.8 to 1, so like 9.8, 10 to 1. It'll be a good street engine, obviously a big valve relief in there. Buddy at the machine shop said that would probably get away with 700 thou lift on the cam, which initially will not be the case, as much as I would love it to be. But to start with that, we're going to obviously have to file fit all of our rings, and that's why I need to kind of disassemble this really quick. But on the topic of camshafts too, since we're going over shit, this is what we're going with for a cam. For the time being, I do want to upgrade to a roller, but, well, Old Mother Brake doesn't have a lot of money. So we're going to roll the dice and hopefully not have the cam go flat on break-in like lots of people are having with the old comps. To flat tap it, 545 on the lift, 241 and 247 on duration. Hydraulic flat tap it, as long as the lifters don't go flat, we'll be fine there. And then the tunnel ram may go on. I have 2 hoods for this car, so that will be a potential option. But for the time being, to go with the setup for braking especially, it'll be just this Holly Street Dominator that I gasket matched and kind of cleaned up the plenum area there. Should go not too bad. Got the old 850 Demon double pumper, or it might be an 800. Regardless, plenty carb. And cylinder heads. So these cylinder heads, they are a 452 casting, which is your typical, I believe it'd be 74 to 78 big block 440. You could get them on pretty much all the smog air motors, probably 400 as well. They're essentially the same as a 906 casting, except for these have a hardened valve seat in them, so better with unleaded gas. And then I went ahead and, well, took the old die grinder and wallered them out a whole bunch. Basically just gasket matched them. Pulled the valves out because they needed rebuilt, and cleaned up in the bowl areas a little bit too. So they should flow a fair bit better than a factory set of rough cast big block heads, which I'm sure if I looked hard enough I could probably find some somewhere in this garage. I mean, not that there's much Mopar shit in here at all. I mean, who doesn't have a 413 just sitting? You know, that's a mock-up engine, so when I don't have the parts on this engine, it just sits right there. There's a real reason behind having it there for sure. But nonetheless, I'm going to stop farting around and bullshitting and struggle my back off getting this fucking intake and cylinder heads off of here, and well, we'll start filing goddamn rings, I guess. So we got the 440 stripped down, the bare block. Of course, we got the cylinder head set atop our 413 mock-up engine here. And as you can see, like I was saying, I hogged out the old ports a little bit with the die grinder. You probably see down in there a little bit. I stuck the die grinder down in there a ways. Just all I was really trying to do is take away the high spots, you know, just let the air kind of flow through there a little easier. But nonetheless, since we got the block here, laid out the ring setup here for you guys, I'll kind of go over this with you. Now, I am no expert. I'm not an engine builder. I don't know shit. I'm just a guy winging it, you know. But for those of you that have never built an engine, and well, maybe you're looking at this as some kind of tutorial for some strange reason, which don't do it. I have no idea what I'm doing. So if you're taking my instructions for anything, well, if your engine blows up, not on me. But nonetheless, so this is your top ring here. Of course, when you pull all your packages out, they'll come labeled what they are, and they'll always come with some kind of instructions. And if you get a pistons, well, it'll come with another set of instructions. And I recommend you fucking follow them, because it'll tell you your orientations that you need to do, what ring goes where, because some rings have a top and bottom. The second ring on this, see that little dot there? That goes to the top. So, top ring, she's universal. She doesn't have a taper either which way. It can go up or down. Don't matter. And as far as your oil ring, well, this kit you got two thin rings that come in the one bag, and then you got your actual oil ring there. And it essentially just sandwiches in the middle. So most of these rings, unless you buy them file to fit, they will come pre-gapped to whatever they recommend. But if you are filing your rings, well, there's generally charts you can look at to tell you what you want to do. So this is going to be a mild street engine. She'll have a little bit of get up and go. So we're going to go just street naturally aspirated. So they advertise your ring end gap you want 4 thousandths. Times, this would be a 4.350 bore. She's a 440, punch 30 over, factory 4.32. So you'll take your 4 thousandths times your 4.350, and that gives you roughly 17.5. So that's what we're going to aim for when we're measuring our top ring. Now the bottom ring I'll probably go a little bit bigger. I'll probably aim for about 19 thou. And yeah, the oil ring doesn't really matter. They're generally about 15 thou. But if you really want to, you can check it. It's not really doing much that can hurt anything. So yeah, nonetheless, I'm going to get started with this. I'm not going to film I will film gapping one set of ring. Basically all you need to do to gap the ring, you can get actual ring filing, fucking expensive bullshit, or you can go down to Princess Auto or Harbor Freight and get yourself a cheap diamond file, and well, yourself a set of nice cheap filler gauges, and stick the ring down in the hole. This is gonna be tough one-handed. Don't break the fucking thing. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Alright, so you'll get the ring pinched in, get her down in the hole. Come on now. I'll grab one of our new pistons, no rings on her. All you're going to do here is just basically make sure your ring is in there straight and flat. Just push it down a little ways, just like so. Set that down somewhere that it won't fall down. And then, let's see here, where's our gap? Oh, hat light, come on, work with us. The gap's up the top there. So we're looking for 17 to 18 thou. I probably should have found the proper gauges before I started pissing around with this. Let's see here. Alright, got 17 and 18 here. So let's see. That's actually pretty much right where we want it. So you'll have a little bit of resistance when you're dragging it. That's how you know you're good. So I'm gonna check all fucking however many, my brain doesn't count that high, rings. And once I got them all filed and fit, we will throw rings on one piston at a time as we go. So I'll start with the driver's side bank, and then I'll go passenger side bank. And this will take way too fucking long, but nonetheless, you get the gist of it. We're gonna start struggling. Alrighty, we got the first piston ringed. As you can see, like I was saying, oh, come on, cooperate. So the second ring is dot facing up, top ring, she's on there. And then the oil ring, you can see you got your, I think they call them scraper rings, and then your actual oil ring itself, where the oil does the stuff and the things. And she's sandwiched in between properly, getting nice like, and that's one piston essentially ready to go, minus rod bearings. So, gonna do the other 7, and well, we'll proceed from there. After we're done pissing around with all this, and we get to flip the engine over, take the oil pan back off, and well, shove the main bearings back in. That are, well, right here, are nice new old stock, I guess you can call them, Michigan bearings from 08, 98, 80. I don't know. They're old. They're properly date coded for this block. Is basically what I'm saying, you know. New old stock shit's way better than these fucking garbage fucking Malley bearings that Rock Auto sent me the wrong ones for, but we're over that. I fucked up. They fucked up. Somebody fucked up. Fuck up's fixed, and we're moving on. But yeah, nonetheless, we'll flip it back over once we're done here, and we'll measure all our clearances, and that'll take way too fucking long. And then we can throw these assemblies in the holes, and we'll have a assembled short block. Let's keep on keeping on. Well, we got all the rings gapped for all 8 pistons. Set top ring at 18 thou and bottom ring 20 thou on all 8. And got the block flipped over, and we're moving on to the next thing, which is, of course, throwing the crank in the block. Now, I figure since we're here, we might as well go over the issue I had. I already made a short, I believe I posted on YouTube, and possibly Instagram. I don't know. I do things, and, well, I don't even know I'm doing them. But the problem lies in the thrust bearing right here. So, as you can see, you got the groove, and of course your block and your cap. And the problem I had is, oh, don't drop the new bearings. If you look at these 2 bearings side by side, you can obviously see this guy's way bigger. And why this guy's way bigger is because this is meant for a 74 to 78 block, which for whatever reason, I mean, it's pretty stupid on Chrysler's behalf because there's really no reason for it. But they made the groove larger on the later blocks, on the smog air blocks. So that would be your Malley MS1277P kit, which all your other bearings, they're the same. The journal diameters didn't change. None of that changed. It's just the bearing, or the thrust bearing diameter is larger on the later blocks for whatever reason. So we got the proper bearings now, and just if you're ever on Rock Auto and you want to order a bearing kit, make sure you order the 877 or equivalent bearing for the early blocks. So that's 66 to 73 on the 440s. Because the other ones, well, you'll find out the hard way. It's a waste of $175 or something. That of course, I don't get back now because it's been way past the 30-day return window, and well, I've got other 440s anyways that will take those bearings, so we won't worry about that. But nonetheless, I'm going to keep fucking around here, and got my crank sitting there on the floor. You see, you want to work with nothing but the utmost cleanliness when you're building engines, so that's why you just, you do it in a dirty garage. It's fine. That's how all performance engines are built. Okay, we got the crank set inside. Well, of course, if your back's hurting like mine today, do the right thing and just lift it in there by yourself. Don't dare ask a friend to give you a hand. Ever. But one last quick note before I get into plastic aging all my bearing clearances. When you're putting your bearings in, now those of you more experienced will know this, but anybody doing this for the first time, so you got an upper and a lower bearing. Most of these will be marked top and bottom, or U and whatever the other letter is. But yeah, so this is an upper. So upper being the upper part of the block. So obviously this is upside down, so the upper is underneath the crank. So the reason you have an upper and a lower is that hole in the middle. Now, the lower does not have the hole. Reason being, that's where your oil galley is on your block. Now, if you mess that up, of course, you're not going to be getting a lot of oil on your journals, and, well, crankshaft's going to be having a bad time. So, don't fuck that up. But next thing we're going to do here is grab our strip of plastic gauge, and you'll cut off a chunk about yay big, and then you're going to stick it. So, here, we'll do a little demonstration if I can do this one-handed. Where'd the scissors go? Where'd I put them? I'll be back. They're in front of my face the entire fucking time. They're literally right there underneath the plastic gauge. That's fine. But like I was saying, grab scissors, cut off a chunk like so. I'll fucking peel the guy open, which this is going to be a struggle and a half. Oh, there, we don't got to struggle quite as much, just pull it out. But I'll take that guy, and we're going to start with number 2 journal. So lay that across there like so. And we'll take our main cap. Make sure you got it the right way. There's only one way to put the fucking thing on there. Oh, this is not going well. Not good with one hand. I mean, I can do some things one-handed, but this just ain't one of them. So, yeah. Tap her down on there, get lots of wood chunks in there. Grab your bolts. Run them down in, and you'll look up your torque sequence and what your torque spec is for each of your main caps on whatever engine you're working on. Big block Chrysler. I have no fucking idea yet. I'm going to do just as usual, and I'll go on the old Google machine, look up number, set in the torque wrenches, which is just over there. And we'll grab our socket. Make sure you don't just grab any random socket. Well, no. Grab any random socket out of the fucking toolbox. But then grab a can of brake clean, spray the fucking thing out, grab some air, blow all the dirt out of the goddamn thing so you're not shoving dirt and metal and whatever other bullshit on top of the wood you already stuffed inside your engine. Because, well, these things don't like that debris inside of them. And when they do get the debris inside of them, usually they have a bad time. So, yeah, nonetheless, we're going to shut this off real quick so I can use the old Google machine, and we'll get this fucking cap torque down and show you what the fuck it looks like with plastic gauge on there. Alrighty, we got our torque specs. So, we're going to work in increments. So, we're going to start in the middle, and we're going to work an X pattern going out. So, we're going to start at 30, then we'll go up to 50, with the final torque being 85. And once we get her set to 85, we'll pull the number 2 cap back off, and we'll have a look at that plastic gauge. Alright, we got her torqued up to 85 foot-pounds all the way across. We'll pull our main cap off, and the plastic gauge stayed on the bearing instead, and she's looking so far to be good. Now, ideally you want to keep the little piece that you cut off to check it, but, oh, of course I'm stupid. Oh, there it is. I sees it. So, you'll find what you want your ideal clearance to be on your fuck's sakes, this is impossible to do with one hand. So we're looking, I'd say 3/1000 clearance, which is about fucking perfect. So we'll clean that plastic off of there, and well, we'll slap that bearing cap back on, and we'll check the rest of them. And once that's good, make sure she rolls freely and start shoving pistons into the fucking thing. Sorry, I forgot to add, you want to check your end clearance first too. So once I get all of them torqued again, I'll pry it back and forth, stick a dial indicator on the end of the crankshaft, and watch. I think you want between 2 and 7/1000 end gap, or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a fucking engine builder. What the fuck am I talking about? So I don't quite remember where we left off, but anyways, we got the whole rotating assembly basically together. We got 7 out of 8 pistons in. So I'm going to show you the 8th and final piston, which is going to be hole number 7. And for installing it, now you'll always hear you need to make sure your rings are offset. None of your end gaps are facing each other when you're installing them. And some people say that there's a very specific order that they need to be in, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard, it don't matter as long as your gaps aren't facing directly across from each other. Oh, where is this gap? Okay, well, basically, you just don't want your rings together like that. So you'll take your rings and, well, sorry. Give me a second. That guy there, that guy there. You guys are just looking at all kinds of stuff that I have no idea what the fuck it is. Alrighty, that's good enough. So, see, we got the top ring gap there, second ring gap there, and then the oil rings. I just got them straight across each other, basically in line with the wrist pin. And all you're gonna need is a piston ring compressor. Now they make fancy, expensive ones, but I'm pretty sure if I found my receipt from Princess Auto, this was $5 fucking. And you don't need to spend a bunch of money and get fancy fucking tools. Sure, it might save you a little bit of time, but if you're not doing it every fucking day, why bother? So grab your ring compressor, we'll throw that on there, and then you'll take your cap off, on a bearing in there. Make sure you lube everything good. The cylinders themselves, I like to wipe them clean. That's the biggest thing with this whole process of building an engine. Make sure everything is fucking clean. So I wipe down the cylinders, and then I'll give them a nice coating of WD before I shove the piston in. Make sure your crank's good and lubed with some assembly lube. And yeah, I will be back in 2 seconds once I get this compressor on this piston here. Alrighty, we got her assembled, ready to go in the hole. Now you see those little guys there? My guy at the machine shop, he was kind enough to supply me with some, because obviously he knew I was assembling it myself, and the whole idea behind those is just to, well, keep you from scratching up the journals of your crank and your cylinder walls. But if you don't have them, it's not a big deal. Just be fucking careful. And as far as putting the piston in, so certain pistons will have certain orientations depending on the piston itself, obviously, and whether it has valve reliefs. This chart actually is really good for it, because you can see some will have it tapered on the intake and exhaust side for your fucking valve relief. And in the case of a wedge engine, like a fucking small block Chevy or Pontiac or any of the big block, small block Chryslers, well, your intake valve is a lot bigger than your exhaust valve, and your intake side by side, where your center cylinders, your exhaust side by side. So you need to make sure your orientations are right on your valve reliefs. These are all the same size valve reliefs, so it doesn't fucking matter. Just make sure that, well, it's going in the right way. Hold on a second. We'll drop her down in there. Make sure she's good and square in the hole. Grab our blunt instrument, which is just a ball peen hammer with a rubber end on it. We'll just tap her down nice and firmly. Once she's past the compressor, we can go the rest of the way by hand generally. And so long as you got those, oh, we're going the wrong way. We're pretty stunned over here. Oh, yeah, we fucked up. So I'm gonna have to push that back up. What the fuck is falling over? Oh, the valve cover sliding off the hood. I thought fucking World War III was happening for a second there. Yeah, so I'll push that back up. Obviously, it's better when you got two hands so you can guide the fucking thing. But, yeah, so it's really not as hard as people make it look. It's fucking keep it clean, lube everything good, and just fucking get her done. Okay, we got our slight screw up fixed. And remember, kids, don't do drugs or make you look stupid on camera. But one last thing is, as far as your rod bearings go, I don't know for every application, obviously, but for a big block Chrysler, there is no top and bottom on your rod bearing. Just make sure your groove's lined up and throw her on there. Another thing, make sure you're going groove to groove. So, oh, it's Jesus, it's blurry. So the groove is outside, so the groove will be outside. And yeah, just keep those little things in mind, and you'll be good to go. I believe we left off me looking like an idiot, but nonetheless, I got the camshaft stabbed in there, timing chain on, got her set TDC number 1. I didn't piss around with timing the cam or degreeing the cam, I guess proper terminology for it or nothing. If you want every bit of horsepower, yeah, it's worth it, probably, maybe, I don't know. But I know for a fact this cam is not going to be the permanent camshaft, so, well, there's no sense going through the extra effort when it is inevitably going to come out again. But from here, I'm going to stab the cylinder heads on, and, well, she's starting to look like an engine already. It honestly, once the short block's together, it comes together pretty fucking quick. So I'm going to do a little situating, and I might even set you up on the tripod for quick assembly of the top end. Well, I keep having to charge up the old phone, aka camera, so of course progress has to keep ensuing while said phone is charging, but I'm set you up on tripod now, and hopefully you guys get a good time lapse out of this. Alrighty, last clip there, you seen we got the heads torqued down and whatnot, and by the magic of editing, we've jumped ahead by about a week, namely because of this said part that goes right down there, runs off the old camshaft gear there, known as your, your oil pump drive, just about dropped it on the floor, but we saved it. Well, why we skipped ahead is because, of course, I had to order a brand new one, because when my dumbass sent this thing to the machine shop, I brought my pistons there in a milk crate, and I forgot that I had put my oil pump drive gear in said milk crate. Well, that's fine and dandy, except for when the guy at the machine shop asked me what all I gave him. I told him, well, I gave you a block and pistons and rods and a camshaft, and I thought that was it, but turns out I also gave him that, so when I got the engine back, I didn't get back my drive gear. Thus, we were kind of dead in the water last week. So, on top of that, I also took some time this week and cleaned up my rocker assemblies because they were in quite the state. And yeah, what else did we do? No, I don't really remember. A lot has changed in a week. But we got a few other parts. Got better valve cover gaskets because the set that I bought, I thought they were rubber. I think I might have said that in the video already. I don't know. But yeah, I thought they were rubber gaskets, and the set I bought, they were actually cork, so I bought some better rubber ones. Got the old thermostat housing, some NGK plugs. I know diehard Chrysler guys are gonna hate me for it because, oh, you can't run nothing but Champion in a Chrysler. Fuck that. I do not like Champion plugs. Had good luck with those guys. We're gonna run NGK iridiums. But nonetheless, I'm going to, I don't know, we might set you up on tripod here for a minute, and yeah, I'm gonna get lifters put in, push rods, rocker arms all assembled. I got the hardware for the rocker arms soaking in that. There. Look at that. You want to keep a little container like this, you know, a little bolt bin, essentially. Just fill it full of brake cleaner. You fucking put all your dirty nuts and bolts in there. Why buy brand new shit when you can just clean old shit and reuse it? Don't be stupid. But yeah, we're gonna pick away at some shit. We got all 16 lifters in. Now these are comp lifters, as you've probably seen. Hopefully, fingers crossed, and well, I'm gonna cross all of our toes as well, that these fucking lifters don't go flat. If they do, well, I'm probably gonna be pretty pissed, because we're gonna run proper brake-in oil, brake-in additive, run what do we got here? We got driven assembly grease, proper brake-in grease, put some ultra slick on every single lifter. We got lightweight springs in it to break it in. We're gonna, obviously we'll put the stiffer springs in after the fact, which that's another concern of mine is, well, I think I'll put rocker arms in there. I'm going to be running the stamp steel rocker arms for the time being because, well, that guy just doesn't have the money to spend on roller shit. Otherwise, well, we wouldn't be worrying about camshafts and lifters going flat so much. But on these, I just, you know, clean them up good. I'll keep a couple spares in the glove box. I think she's got a glove box still. Oh yeah, she's good. Yeah, we'll keep a couple spares in there until I can afford to buy a set of roller rockers, which we'll probably put on these heads anyways, even though I would like to upgrade to aluminum, as the over the water people call it. But yeah, so we will keep going. I need to clean up all my push rods still. I should have done that at the same time at work. Well, I did everything else, but you know, my brain, it doesn't think that well. Like, I also thought, oh, I could bring my pulleys in, I could bring my balancer in, I could sandblast them, I could paint them, and make everything look nice, just as I've been doing with everything else. But well, my mind only works in small steps, so no, it's one thing at a time, and eventually it's getting done, okay? It'll be done sooner or later. It's going a lot faster than everything else, so don't give me too much shit. As you can see, we got one side assembled. Now, I'd like to take a quick second just to go over a couple key details that a guy does not want to fuck up. Mostly to do with your old rocker shaft. Now, on your rocker shaft, you have some oil holes in one side of it, and the bottom side of it. Now, you see, these need to face downwards. Down, like that. Otherwise, you don't get proper oiling to your upper end, and well, things like to party don't party so much anymore. So make sure of that. And then, of course, when you're tightening down your whole rocker shaft deal, just don't fucking hammer it home immediately with your 1/2 inch impact. You know, just go nice and steady, snug them up. Make sure everything moves, everything's good. Make sure your push rods are actually seated in the cups. Don't be stupid. Lots of lube, and you should have a good time. But you fuck those simple little things up, and you're not gonna have a very good time. Pretty simple, right? Alrighty, well, I'm gonna get this other side on, and I guess we can actually drop in the distributor. We can set TDC on the distributor pointer, you know, somewhere over there. And yeah, once that's done, we're pretty much ready to bolt on an intake manifold. We're probably not going to permanently affix the intake yet because, well, of course, it's going to get the street dominator to break in, but, well, it just, you know, sitting in the garage looks a hell of a lot cooler with a tunnel ram on it than it does with a fucking little 4-barrel. So yeah, we'll carry on here. Well, you probably just watched me walk back and forth, you know, like 6 or 7 times on the old time lapse. Very, very fast, like, because, of course, look for tools because my dumbass doesn't clean up the tools. You know, you just take them out of the box, put them on different surfaces, and never put them back in the toolbox. That's the right way to do it. But anyways, we're going to stab our distributor in there. You can see when I was taking my plug wires off, because they're MSD plug wire set, they're labeled 1 through 8. This is number 1. Number 1's going to point that away. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to do this with 2 hands, and it's not easy. And it's fucking cold. It's really fucking cold. This distributor right now, my hand is not having a good time. Where's number 1? So yeah, so number 1 will be on there, something like that. So we want the rotor pointed, you know, that away. I'm pointing. You can't see it, but yeah. So then our vacuum advance will be sitting up towards the intake, which is more gooder. And now's the perfect time to stab this in because, of course, well, you didn't see it, but I dropped the oil pump gear in there already. And the oil pump gear on a Chrysler, you just have the flat spade, and then of course it goes into the flat spade on the oil pump gear. So we're gonna turn that to more or less where we want it, which might be something like that. Maybe that, yeah, that might be her. No, one more tooth. Pop her back out. Piss off. Now, I ain't kidding you when I fucking say it's cold as fuck out here. My hands are fucking freezing. And I can't have the heater running when the goddamn camera's on because it's louder than fuck. There we go. So we got 1 pointed more or less at 1. Once the cap's on there, well, don't lose the fucking screws. Boom, Bob's your uncle. So we pointed. What we got going on here? I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. It only goes one way. Alright, well, we'll change the orientation on the cap. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah. So, yeah, carry on with this. I actually have spark plug. Yeah, I already went over the spark plugs. I'm an idiot. Not going to put spark plugs in because I will break them off. I already know that. I am an idiot, but I'm not that much of an idiot. And we'll throw the valley pan on, put valve covers on with our nice fancy gaskets, and we'll probably call her at that because, you know, the rest is just accessory shit. The water pump, and then the oil pump and the oil pan is going to change. Actually, I was going to run a factory 5-quart pan with a factory pump, but then I bought the oil pump gear, and one thing led to the next. It's like, well, I got a brand new pump gear in there. Why would I put an old pump on there? So then it's like, well, maybe I'll get a high volume pump. And it's like, maybe I should get a deep sump pan. So, well, we're gonna order some more parts next week, is what I'm saying. But yeah, so that means all of that shit's gonna change. So we're not gonna fuck around with that at all. We're not gonna put the windows tray in, none of that. So we're gonna get her dressed up as far as we can and basically call her there. Maybe I'll put the plugs in just for show. I'll put the plug wires on so she looks all pretty with the MSD setup in there with the tunnel ram. It'll be good. As you can see, we jumped ahead just a skosh, but for 2 reasons. 1, fucking camera died. 2, I wasn't kidding when I said it was fucking cold in here, so the heater had to run for a minute. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video? Between dizzy and passing the fuck out, we're right about there. But regardless, we got her flanged up, got the plug wires on there, which are going to be replaced, I reckon. The length setup that this distributor and these plug wires came out of a mud truck, obviously big block truck. Headers are a little bit different. Actually, if I was real ambitious, there's a set of big block truck headers over there. I could, pull them out and we could go over how different they are. But no, that's way too much fucking around. You'll just have to take my word on it. They're different, and yeah, these plug wires are old anyways. once I get the cash kind of saved up, we'll pony up and we'll buy a new set. So that'll be good there. We actually did bolt on the tunnel ramp fully because, well, it's going to be sitting for a while, and fuck it, might as well fucking have her properly secured. Got the valve covers on there with the most mismatched hardware I could find. Same with the valley pan. There's all the bolts and whatnot out of this engine. Came out of a 76 440. I'm not sure if I mentioned it earlier in the video or not, but the 76 440 was out of a New Yorker that I bought, old Mr. Leahy. And, well, that 440 was fucked. Otherwise, that engine was actually supposed to go directly in this car, had it ran. So, of course, it was fucked, and thus I had a 69 block. Had to choose between a 69 and a 76. 69 was the clear winner for many, many reasons. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. Hopefully, for those of you that are newer to this shit, you might have learned something. And, well, if there was nothing for you to learn, hopefully you enjoyed it regardless. And make sure you stay tuned in the next one. We'll definitely be doing body work again, unfortunately. We're waiting on a torsion bar cross member so I can finish up the suspension and then start plumbing brake lines, fuel lines, and all that fancy shit to the back of the car. And then, of course, once that's in, then I can stab the engine and tranny in there. And I'm sure some of you guys were hoping to see the engine run in this video, but that's just, it's not going to happen. The guy has way too much shit to do to the car before the engine's ready to go in there, and I'm not willing to break her in on a fucking stand. So, yeah, you'll have to wait on that a bit. But regardless, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment, do all that crazy shit. The guy really appreciates it. I read every one of your guys' comments. It always gives me a good kick. So, yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.